All right, Johnny, how are you today?
Good, Stu. I'm looking forward to the Puente this weekend. How about you?
Long weekend, that's right. Well, Monday's not a holiday, right?
Yeah, Monday's not a holiday, but many people, myself included this year, have taken it off or will take it off for
Well, that's right, and
an
that's
extended
that's
weekend.
that's why they're going to do what you just said there, the puente or the bridge
Hmm.
concept here in Spain, where you take an extra day off and have a 4 day weekend, right?
Yeah, in this case, it'll be 4 days. Yeah,
That's it. That's it. So you're looking forward to a bit of time off.
yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Yeah.
Great. What's on the agenda, Johnny?
All right, we'll start with the Ley de Vivienda, so the new housing law, which
The new
is
housing law, yes, which was
yeah.
announced the other day.
Yeah, so obviously the background is the housing situation in Spain is quite complicated. It's very difficult for young people to get a property,
Yeah.
particularly in big cities like Madrid and Barcelona. You got certain areas where the rent prices are going very high and property prices as well. So the PSOE and Podemos have each had their own ideas on how to tackle this. Podemos seems to have wanted to take more of um, a penalizing approach, let's call it, by limiting rent prices, whereas the PSOE has gone for more of an incentivizing approach to try and get people, property owners, to reduce rent, um,
Yeah.
like that. And the outcome has kind of been a mix of the two. Is kind of the outcome, yeah. So
Mm.
we can maybe go through
Yeah, well,
yeah.
it's had its criticism, of course. The opposition parties were saying that it goes against the free market and it will stifle investment in the country, legal security, all of those things. So it's been met with some criticism.
Yeah, you mentioned the opposition party and also property developers. There's obviously a lot of new property developments cropping up in Spain.
Mm.
And as part of this Ley de Vivienda, one of them is that 30% of those new developments are protected property, which
Yeah,
means they're more regulated in terms of how they can be sold at what price and or rented at, etc. And of the
in
yeah,
theory, that's the case. Yeah.
yeah, and then again of the protected property, half of it is meant to go to social housing as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I know people that bought this type of house, and they call it protección or protección oficial, I think. And
Yeah.
we actually had some houses in the neighbourhood which were like that, and people got around the rules, and they just sold them with part in black money, basically, and that's how people get around the rules. I mean, whatever. I mean, it's like the digital world. Whatever you try to do security wise, somebody's always going to be able to get around the digital security, and the same thing happens with these rules, basically, Johnny, or at least it has done in the past. So I don't know whether it's going to change now or not.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll
Mm.
find out.
And another one of
So
the things was that, sorry to interrupt, but another one of the things was about people that have, or companies that have a lot of assets on their books, right? So I think more than 10 is going to be penalised.
so it's yeah, well, so it's not penalized as such. If you have 10 properties or more, you're what's considered a large property investor or a large real estate. You get the idea, yeah. And yeah,
Landlord.
exactly, a large landlord, yeah. And then from your, yeah, once you own 10 or more properties, any kind of fiscal incentives that you might have had before, for example, if you deducted internet or bills if they were in your name from your property, if you deducted any repairs that you made in a year, my
Yeah,
understanding is, yeah, you would lose the right to that in your annual tax declaration.
that's it. And there are a lot of companies that have big portfolios with lots and lots of flats in them, and they're also going to target these people as well, I think. And I think the idea is, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a lot of empty houses as well, and one of the ideas is to try to get them onto the market, right?
Yeah, well, that's one of the other points. So it's the surcharge on property tax, on annual property tax. So on a yearly basis, if you're a property owner, you'll pay this property tax. It's called the EB, and it's based on the it's called the valor,
Catastro.
yeah, catastral, valor catastral of your property. You'll pay so much money a year in tax. And the idea is if your property sits vacant, then they can charge 150% of that value on top of the annual EV. But that only
Yeah.
applies if you have 4 properties or more. I understand.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 properties or more. Yeah, I think like I said, I think there is a problem with vacant houses around the country. I mean, it's been well documented that ever since that 2008 housing boom, a lot of properties sat empty, were taken over by squatters. A lot of landlords prefer not to have people renting because if you do get a problematic person inside the flat, it's difficult to get them out. As we know, the legal system doesn't really work that well, and a lot of people prefer to just have them sitting there empty because the price increases every year, and you don't have, if you've got a lot of money and you don't need that rent every month, then why do you care?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, the concept of holiday homes in Spain is very common. It seems, people have maybe their main residence in Madrid, and then they might have property in Alicante or in Andalusia. And
Yeah, but it's not going to affect those people because that's only 1 or 2 homes, right? You
yeah,
said 4 or more.
yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. If we're talking from a landlord perspective here, aren't we? Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
yeah.
So we're talking about people. So not only these big American and worldwide, these international funds that have invested in the property market here in recent years or ever since that last crash, but people that have historically invested their money into property, and they buy parking spaces, they buy flats. I know one guy who sells insurance, and he's got a client that's got 150 houses. So and this is not the richest guy in the world, but that's all his family's done. They've had a good business and they've put all of their money into property.
Yeah. I mean, real estate gives generally very good returns over the long term.
Well, it has done historically. That's it, traditionally, yeah.
Yeah, and that's obviously where a lot of this criticism that you mentioned will be coming from people who, who are very invested in real estate and believe in the property market long term, because it's going to affect their profitability over the long term.
That's it. And another thing the opposition mentioned yesterday, the opposition by them I mean the PP, they said that the legal insecurity aspect is going to rear its ugly head again as well, and put people off investing. We know that Sanchez went to the United States to talk to these funds a couple of months ago, and obviously this was on the table, I suppose.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very interesting, yeah, that this has gone ahead following those discussions. Yeah, I wonder what they did discuss while they were there.
I'm sure this was one of the things that was on the table because there are a lot of those companies have invested heavily in Spain. In fact, a lot of the growth over the last decade or so has come from these big investment funds. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we'll move on. Sorry, there was one thing also about the housing allowance for young people, wasn't it? 18 to 35s, 250 euros?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this comes under the actual housing law or if it's something apart. I think it might be something apart. But yeah, essentially, Sanchez the other day, I think it was in Valencia, announced that, they're going to launch kind of a bond for young people to access housing aid. So this would be for 18 to 35-year-olds to get up to 250 euros a month over 2 years, with the idea of helping them to become independent from their families, move into decent quality housing. Because of course as we've just said, the rental property market, like if you're trying to enter as a tenant, even if you're in a good financial situation, it's difficult, particularly if you're in a city like Madrid and Barcelona. And a lot of people end up sharing rooms rather than being able to get
that's right.
property to themselves. Yeah.
I know that you rent, and you can tell us about your experience. But when you are looking for a place, you have to prove that you are economically viable, right? You have to, you have to give your tax return or something, or previous 5 pay slips or something?
I mean, typically things that like a landlord will look for is, like your previous pay slips, maybe your vida laboral, which is like your work history in Spain, to show that you've got a stable work history over the long term. What else? You need to put like 2 to 3 months deposit, depending on where you are, and typically the rental, the rent price, it can't be over a third of your monthly income.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So it's a difficult market.
It is indeed. Yeah.
So we'll see if this new law does change things. All right, good. What's next, Johnny?
All right. So we've got. I'm sure you're aware of new Madrid New North. We've also.
Yeah, I've heard about the North Plan, but you're going to talk about the South Plan.
Yeah, there is a plan for the South which has the same name. I'm not sure if it's being carried out by the same developer which is doing the North, which is, I believe it's Merlin Properties, which is carrying out a lot of that development in the North. But in the South, a similar project is going on, and it's going to be developed in the same way that the plans are for the North. So building office space, building housing with some social housing in there, green space, and shops and local commerce. Yeah.
Okay, so the North Plan is going to take the. So we'll put this into a bit of a context here for people that maybe don't know Madrid. Madrid is it's a fairly compact city with two major train stations, really, Chamartin in the north and Atocha in the south, Atocha being the station that takes all people south of the country, Chamartin takes people north. And the North Plan is going to develop those rail lines in some way, or build around those rail lines. It's going to improve that part of the city. And I suppose this South Plan, Johnny, is with those southern lines, right?
So they haven't talked about the railway lines. What they've talked about is actually the road, the M30, and the southern knot, so the El Nudo Sur of the road.
Yeah,
they're thinking of building on top of that and making that.
Yeah, it's an area that's all connected because those Atocha lines go out down through that area. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think they're talking about, because I read somewhere that they need to get the permission of ADIF, who is the company that controls the rail transport, I think. Right?
Yeah, you see their name in most of the major stations in Spain, ADIF, I think.
That's it.
Yeah. But yeah, so the areas in the south where they're building this is the districts of Usera, Arganzuela, and Puente de Vallecas.
Yeah, okay, good. So it's the area where the Caja Mágica is now. Do you know that area there?
I know of the area, but I've never heard the Caja Mágica reference before.
Well, it's where they hold the tennis and a few concerts and things like that.
Okay.
But it's a wasteland basically, and I think that's what they're going to try to. I think that's what they're going to try to develop. It's just, it's the M30 freeway runs through it, as you said there. You've got what's the other thing you mentioned? Well, the train lines, of course, and there's just basically nothing there.
Yeah, well, that's what the deputy mayor of Madrid has said, that the objective of this investment is to try and promote investment and development in this area, which historically maybe hasn't seen as much investment as other parts of the city.
Well, all the money's gone north. You can see that in Madrid. I mean, if you go to the Alcobendas area, the business parks there are a lot more. Let's say the buildings are a lot more spectacular than the ones in the south.
Yeah, and you think of Plaza de Castilla as well, where you've got the five towers now. Yeah,
that's right. But that whole continuation up that Castellana road there, when you get to as I said, finishing around Alcobendas, Moraleja, that's where all the money's gone.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And there's a big difference between those neighbourhoods that they build in the north, in my opinion. For example, if you go to a San Chinarro, they're quite well-developed places compared to some of the neighbourhoods in the south as well. So, maybe it'll try to break the north-south divide that has affected Madrid.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about the developed neighbourhoods, if you look at some of the most wealthy neighborhoods in Spain by per capita, you've got La Moraleja, which is up there. You've got Pozuelo de Alarcón, Boadilla, which is in the west. But you get the idea.
Yeah. Whereas in the south, it's more they're more of the I'm not going to say the poorer neighborhoods or cities, but that they don't have that same what's the word I'm looking for? The same economic level, let's say.
Yeah, they traditionally haven't attracted the same levels of investment as the north and the west, let's say.
That's right. That's right. All right. Good. So yeah, so that'll be a plan that'll move the city forward, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else on that topic, Johnny?
On this topic, yeah, I'm interested to see what Madrid looks like in several years, in 5, 10 years, because yeah, there's a lot of development going on in the city right now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
And if they can also fix some of those traffic problems that are caused by those, what was the word you used before? Knot, was it?
Yeah, the southern knot it's called. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's
well, they
there's
call
one
it
at Chamartín,
nudo.
yeah,
That's it.
Nudo Sur, and I believe there's one in the north as well next to Chamartín.
Nudo Norte.
Yeah,
That's it.
and yeah, the traffic there, I've seen it. It's quite hectic in rush hour.
It's a disaster.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
disaster. Yeah. In both of those areas, disaster.
yeah.
All right, good. What's next? Gasol.
Yes, Pau Gasol has retired from professional basketball.
One of your heroes, Johnny?
I mean, he's definitely inspired me growing up. I wouldn't think of him as one of the main basketball players that inspired me, but every time I've heard of him, positive thoughts, and he's obviously been a legend. I had to look through some articles online, and he's actually, in many respects, one of the top sportsmen in Spain. He consistently ranks second or third behind Nadal. Which is a very popular
for achievement or for earnings or popularity.
Probably in terms of popularity, but in terms of achievement, he's obviously done very well. He's had must be at least 15-year career in the NBA. He's won 2 NBA championships.
He's won some rings.
Yeah, he's won the Eurobasket with Spain. And a very accomplished basketball player.
Yeah, and his brother's also very good.
Yes, his brother is still going, although his brother is a few years younger, so we'll see how much longer he goes on for as well.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, I probably agree. He's been right up there at the top for a long time. Obviously, very high profile here, and then, of course, in the States as well. I mean, not being in the States, I can't say how popular he was there, but obviously playing in the Lakers and winning a couple of rings, I think, in the Kobe Bryant era, if I'm not mistaken, was
correct,
it?
Yeah.
So it was a very good team, obviously, that he was able to form part of, and of course here in Spain, as I said, he is a legend and a very well-respected sports person. And one thing is, he never got into the political side of it either. He always tried to stay out of it as well. Never got into that Catalan-Spain debate, which sometimes people get dragged into, as far as I know. So well-respected countrywide.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. I've never had any political controversy surrounding Pau Gasol either.
No. Whereas some other people do get sucked into that debate, and obviously they lose popularity in other parts of the country as a result. But he hasn't been able to do that. And as you said, he won titles with Spain and a very successful Spanish team during that period as well.
Exactly. Yeah, there's actually an Amazon Prime documentary about them, about that whole team called La Familia, which is very interesting. Definitely recommend watching. But yeah, he is very much a centerpiece of that documentary.
Well, it was a golden era for Spanish basketball, and I think if you look at the team, I think Spain had at least 5 or 6 players in the NBA at the time, all playing in good teams there and doing well. And even today, I think they still have quite a good presence there.
Yeah, I mean, there's some younger players now coming out of Spain that are making the NBA, but over history from Europe, Spain is definitely one of the top exporters of basketball talent in Europe to the US.
Well, if you think about it, Spanish cities are perfectly suited to basketball. If you think about basketball in the States, those inner neighborhoods where you see those courts there and people playing all day long. In Spain, it's just the cities have a similar type of setup, don't they?
Yeah, and in Spain as well, you've obviously got much better weather than you have in the likes of the UK, for example, and you don't have the same access to good basketball facilities.
That's it.
And my experience playing here as well has been that basketball development programs in Spain are pretty good. So there's a lot of opportunities for young players to develop a good level and then go on to...
That's it. And the big football clubs have also invested in basketball. Real Madrid, of course, have a team, and Barcelona have a team.
Yeah, both affiliated with the major clubs. I'm trying to think if there's any other teams that do in Spain. I think, Barca and Madrid are the two that come to mind.
Well, there was a team that was quite successful a few years ago called Estudiantes. They were quite successful. I think they were associated in some way maybe to Atletico de Madrid. I might be mistaken.
Okay, yeah.
And another good team over the years has been one in Malaga, Unicaja. I think they've been quite good as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I could be mistaken, but I think one of the teams in Sevilla also has a basketball team affiliated with the club. It might be Betis. I think Betis might have a basketball team associated with the football
It could
club.
be. Yeah, they normally the big clubs normally have a basketball team and a handball team as well. I think. I don't think Real Madrid has handball, but I know that the Barcelona has handball. So which is another big sport in Spain.
Yeah.
Popular sports. All right, good, Johnny. Anything else?
That was all for today, Stu.
All right, great speaking to you again, and we'll be in contact.
Likewise. I'll speak to you later, Stu.
All right, see you later.
Bye.
Good day. Bye-bye.